It's a time for a package from China. It's time to review the H96 with the new chipset S905X4. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So in this video I wanted to take a close look at the H96 Max. This is the 4K Ultra HD X4 Android AG TV game box. It comes with the new chipset, the S905X4. But the first thing that I find very interesting is that this device itself is not very expensive, but it is the new chip inside. So the question remains, what kind of performance are we going to get with this machine, and is it good for emulation and Android gaming? That's what we're going to find out, so consider subscribing, hit the little bell, become one of the Wicked family. But the other thing is, that's really concerning, is it a cheap box? Is it too good to be truth? And is this thing fake? Because there are some things I noticed that are quite interesting. So this is what we're going to get inside the box. There is no HDMI cable, or not with my pack. Nevertheless, let's take a close look at it and how good is the quality. Because yeah, we're going to pay around $50 for it. New chipset. Is it a lie? Man, who knows. Well, let's take a close look at the power supply first. The power supply is a great example. It feels very lightweighted. It's not a super horrible power supply, but it is one of the cheapest ones I have seen in a very long time. 5 volt, 2 amps. It will do the job, but in the end I'm not a big fan of these very cheap power adapters. So when you take a close look at the remote, it's a very cheap one. I have seen my share of cheap remotes, but this thing, yeah, can make it to the top 10. Very cheap feel, it does the job for what it is made for, just navigating through the menu. There are no quick menus like Netflix, Amazon Prime, whatever. But we're going to get these remotes with expensive boxes like B-Link, but this one is just a very cheap one. And not to forget, the toilet paper manual. With some boxes we're going to get a very nice extended manual in different languages, but this is just in the English language, how it works, what you need to look out for, some basic explanations, and that's it. I must say they will show you how to install an app and all those kinds of things, quite interesting, but okay. But let's take a close look at the TV box. So the TV box is the same story like all the other stuff. It's a cheap box, fully made of plastic. And to be honest, I'm not a big fan of it. Yesterday I made a review about the Micool KM6 and that one was made quite nice, a very sturdy case and a nice metal bottom. And this thing is quite cheap. Pure satisfaction. So let's take a close look at the connectors. So first of all, we're going to get the TF slot over here, the input for the 5 volt DC. We're having a digital out, we're also having an AV out, we have an HDMI signal out, Ethernet port and only 2 USB ports, and USB 3.0 and here we're having an USB 2.0. But there's one thing that is really concerning. There is a page out there stating that these boxes are fake. Thanks to my buddy Amy Chicken that told me. So I picked it up just to see for you guys what are we going to get from the inside. But let's go to the page itself and let's touch a chat about that. Then we're going to take a close look at the specifications with H64 and we're going to rip and tear to see how cheap is it and what kind of specs does this thing have. When you take a close look at the article, you can see that they are more referring to this Franklin mainboard. Nevertheless, let's take a close look at my own board. We're going to do a teardown because I wanted to make for sure what are we going to get now, because I think it's super confusing and if they're telling the truth it's pretty naughty and they are bringing this spoofing to the next level if you ask me. Because if H64 doesn't show the real specs, holy crap. Okay, so let's take a close look at the H64 of the TV box. And look what we're going to get here. The board and device are showing Franklin. So as the website is stating that this is going to be a fake device. So in total it has 4 GB RAM, 64 GB or external storage. But the question remains, is this all true or is it fake? Nevertheless, let's take a close look at all the other specifications. So the CPU seems to be an ARM Cortex A55 that is running on 1908 MHz. Okay, it's a quad core. Let's go to the display. The specification needs to be similar like the review of the previous box, the Micool KM6, that it has a Mali G31 inside. Okay, so when you're looking at the specifications, quite interesting. And The difference is with the MiQ, it also runs on Android 10, but this device has been rooted and will give you some problems with, of course, Netflix, like always. The only thing that we can do now is take this thing apart, just to see how it goes. So I can already tell you the two shells are clicked together, there are no screws involved for the outer shells. Of course the PCB has been added to the top shell and it will be held down by 3 screws or 3 parkers. It's a very basic board, but there are some things that are really concerning beside the specification stuff. So let's talk about the PCB. Just this round PCB, specially made for this Android box. But when you're looking at the chipset and the cooling. So let's start with the cooling, because this is quite concerning. This tiny cooling block, I can just basically rip it off. There are some double-sided tape on it that seems to need to be on the cooling element. So, but the chip says this state Emulation S905X4. I don't know what's going on or where it's going wrong. Maybe it's a software issue, but it's such a weird thing that if the site is right and it needs to be an X3, why are they going to put all of the effort to put all the original decals in the title screen? Everywhere you look, I can see it. It also includes a very tiny antenna, and I was not a big fan. At the front we're going to get a display that you will notice when you're powering it on. And even there is a sticker over here that shows the S905X4. 4 gigs, 64 gigabyte storage. I already mentioned that all the specifications are also included in the main menu. So let's do a quick overview. So let's take a close look at this. My apps, we're having a Google Play at the front of the page. Basically here we can browse through all the apps that are pre-installed. From the bottom row, what you can do over here is adding yourself all the apps if you want to, like IDA64 of course. I did notice we didn't have any problems when it comes to 4K streaming from YouTube. It seems to be working just fine. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a quick look into Asphalt, how it runs on this box. Take consideration that I think this game will push this box to the limit. It seems to be with the tutorial, it works like a charm, but when you're going to play online and there will be a lot of stuff going on the screen, you will see a lot of stuttering, or that is what I noticed before even recording this part of the review. So it's a fun box for basic games, but if you want to have these real demanding games, it's highly possible. You will find a lot of stutters and a lot of problems. Yeah, I know, tutorial complete, yoo-hoo! Let's go! So when it comes to the old games, the 60-bit, it will run just fine. So even if it's not an old specification in real time, if you want to play some old games, it's still playable. But that will not be a problem. But you can see when you're going to play some arcade games, and the same applies to this. Old school games. And with these cheap boxes, it will just fine, man. But I did notice a frame drop. A little bit of a bummer in my opinion. But you can see that this box is struggling with Redream. It's running on native resolution, not even upscale to full HD whatsoever. I just want to move on with the Dreamcast to the two-dimensional games just to see what happens. Most of the time where 3D games having trouble rendering 60 FPS stable, the 2D games you're going to get in better performance. And so far so good. I really love the soundtrack of the game. Hulk smash. Okay, I just wanted to boot up Sega Saturn on this box, and you can see that this is basically unplayable in my opinion. You need to take consideration that Nvidia Shield is one of the very expensive boxes that based on Android that will run Sega Saturn good enough. And where you're going to get cheaper boxes, especially with this one, no, it's not working with Sega Saturn. Maybe two-dimensional games will run a little bit better again, but when it comes to this game, three-dimensional racing games whatsoever, nope. It's just a big nope. So when you take a close look at this box, it's a really cheap box. If you're looking at the casing, the way how it's made, it's just a budget product. I don't know if this is a good sale. I really prefer to spend a little bit more money and get better performance. Beside the point that I still don't know if it's fake. The website says if you're having this specification it's fake, but when you're looking on the chip and everything basically points out to the X4 chip. To be honest, I don't know what to think about it anymore. Specification wise, Dreamcast doesn't run great on 3D, that's kind of weird in my opinion, especially with the chipset. It needs at least on native resolution having Dreamcast to run perfect on 3D games. Let me know in the comments what you think of this. I want to thank you for watching, consider subscribing, hit the little bell, become one of the Wicked family, and I will see you in the next video.